Do you want to switch into a new career? Do you want to pivot into a new role? Well, don't worry, I got you. Throughout my career, I've made a lot of changes. I first started my career in aviation, then I went to marketing, then I went to UX design, and now I'm in product management. So I've made a series of pivots and turns. In this video, I'm going to go over the exact process that I use to switch careers successfully. Hello, I'm Jeremy, and I share my life lessons and experiences to help people live a more fulfilled and happy life. Alright, let's dive into the exact process that I use to switch careers successfully. The first step is to brainstorm what type of career or role that you would enjoy. There are a lot of different ways you can go about it. Some of you actually might have an idea of what you're gunning towards, so if you have anything that you feel like you would want to pursue, write this down in a list. However, if you're asking, I have no idea what career I want to switch to, but I do know that my job freaking sucks, and I hate it, and I want to switch. Well, in this case, there are a few ways that you can go about figuring out what type of career is right for you and what role you can switch into. So if you don't know what you want to switch into, you can literally go and ask ChatGPT or another AI tool and ask them, generate a few ideas of careers I can switch into. These are my interests, these are my strengths, etc. And just take that list. It does not have to be perfect, by the way. This is a jumping off point. Now, if you still don't know what careers might be right for you, I would suggest that you ask your friends and family what they think you would be good at. Oftentimes, as individuals, we have our own blind spots. So by asking your family members and your friends, oftentimes they'll be able to generate some ideas for you. So you don't have to actually do this process by yourself and alone. Also, like every other person that's wanting to change careers, you can take online assessments. One really good assessment that I really liked was the ONET Interest Profiler. I'm going to link it down in the description of this video. It was actually really illuminating because basically what it does is it really shows what your dominant interests are, and then it'll link it to some job roles or positions that you might enjoy. The thing that really stood out to me about this ONET Interest Profiler was the fact that my dominant interest was being social, which I found kind of surprising because by nature I am an introvert. However, it made sense because back in like 2017 and 2018, I had my own coaching business. And at my role as a product manager, oftentimes a lot of the client-facing teams said, like, you are really good with clients. You're really good at, talking to them, understanding their pain points, etc. So that kind of illuminated, like, oh, maybe I should like emphasize this skill a little bit more. The second test that you can take, and I'm going to link it in the description, as mentioned before, is there's a website called jobtest.org, I believe, and it actually uses like an AI tool to basically take you through a series of questions, but then it kind of analyzes your answers, and then it offers a few suggestions as to what careers would actually work well with you. And then it kind of ranks in priority. And a lot of tools online can be really a crapshoot. Some of them really just suck, honestly. But this one was actually quite good because I work in technology, and it suggested a few technology roles that I always kind of considered or thought about like switching into. So jobtest.org would be a really good website to like check out. I don't think it only applies to technology, by the way. I think it really will just come up with a role in any industry. The second step of the process is to focus on the top 3 roles that interest you. This does not have to be super scientific, by the way. You can just basically look at all the roles that you brainstormed and choose the top 3 that just speak to you, or you just go with your gut, basically. And the reason we want to choose the top 3 is just due to prioritization. As humans, we have limited time. We have a set amount of time, so we want to really prioritize what career that you want to change into. The third step is really simple. After you pick the top 3 career positions or changes that you want to make, go out and do research. Really dive into it and understand what are the pros and cons, what are the things people enjoy about this role, what are the things that people don't like about this role. And this is just where you can Google, go on Quora, ask Reddit, go on TikTok and all that stuff, and just kind of go through all the information sources to really think, could I see myself in this role? Would I be okay with the pros of it, but also the cons of the role? And just kind of go through the top 30 roles and really get a sense of, how each role stacks up against your research. One really key thing I recommend you do during this step is to actually talk to people in these roles. So for example, let's say you want to become a UX designer in technology. Go and talk to 3 to 5 UX designers. Understand how they broke into this role. What do they like about the role? What do they not like about it? Any surprises about the role? Because it's one thing to actually read about things, but when you actually talk to people and really understand their experiences, it'll give you a lot more insight and information as to whether or not this role is right for you. And it'll also help you make more of a successful career change. So definitely in this role, you want to really research not only through like information sources, but also just by talking to people. It's very straightforward. The fourth step of making a successful career change is to choose one role. So you have 3 roles that you prioritize and talk to people about and research. Now choose the one role that's so far, by the way, you can always change this, but at this point in time, choose the one role that really stands out to you the most. Just choose one to focus on. This step is really, really critical. You want to prototype and validate. Oftentimes, when people want to make a career change, what happens? They overthink things, they mentally masturbate about it, they just basically think about it left, right, pros, cons, they just start thinking, journaling, more tests, and what ends up happening is months, weeks go by, maybe even years go by, and they're still in the same position. The reason why prototyping and validating is so important is because it's a way of actually trying it out, but also doing it in a non-risky way. So some examples of prototyping could be like you literally volunteer, or you take a boot camp, or you take a course where you get a certificate and you take a course that like lasts a month. Or maybe you find ways to volunteer, intern, or like do a little bit of apprenticeship, depending on what role that you're looking for. And the reason why this is so important because number one, it will give you like real world experience. Do you actually enjoy this role? Like, is it what you envision it to be, or is it actually not as good as you thought it would be? The other thing is, this real world experience is worth its weight in gold. It's worth a lot more than thousands of hours of researching a role. When you actually get out there, you can really see like, do I enjoy it? And can I actually see myself getting good at this? And when you do it in like kind of a prototype way where you do like a boot camp, an internship, or a volunteering, the risk is pretty minimal because you're not really responsible. It's not your main livelihood, and it's just a way of kind of trying things out. And if you fail or if it doesn't work out, like you don't really lose too much. Another way of really prototyping and validating oftentimes, and especially in technology, is it's easier to make a lateral move in a company. So let's say you're a project manager, but you want to become a UX designer. Oftentimes, a lot of technology companies already have UX design and project management as roles, right? So switching over to project management, or to UX design rather, that's something that you can just float to the stakeholders in your organization. And oftentimes this lateral move could be a good way of really just trying out things and becoming a UX designer in this case, an example. But if it doesn't work out, you can just say like, hey, I tried it out, like thanks for allowing me to shout out the UX designers, I didn't really enjoy it, etc. So a lateral move within an organization, by the way, is often the easier way to actually get a new role that you're gunning for. So after you finish prototyping and validating whether or not you'd want to work in this role, now it's very clear. Should you proceed and continue with trying to get a job in this role, or is this as far as it goes? The reason why this process works is because number one, it is introspective. You do have to think about what you want. You do have to take the assessments and kind of figure out what are your strengths, what could you get really good at, what actually fits you in terms of switching careers. So there really is like an introspective aspect. However, the other reason why it actually works is because it actually puts something out in the real world where you can really validate if a career change is right for you. As I mentioned before in this video, oftentimes when people start wanting to change careers, they think about it, they ask questions, they think about it more, they journal, they take tests, and it just goes around in this circle where nothing actually happens, where they're actually using that intellectualization as well as way of thinking about it to avoid actually doing the work and actually putting themselves out there to be vulnerable when switching careers. So this has the right blend of not only being introspective, but also just, putting something out in the real world and seeing what the feedback is. And I gotta say again, for me, my perspective on life, even though I'm very methodical and very organized, I've learned in life, if you really want change, don't wait until you're ready to make the change to make the change. You gotta just kind of do it. And by prototyping, you're basically doing the change and really testing it out. And it's being done in a very non-risky manner. So this is why this process works. And if you were thinking and wondering, did I come up with the process? No, I did not. It's something that I only really thought about looking back on my career. The other thing and other inspiration for this process is actually the whole product development and software development lifecycle. As you all know, or if you don't know, I work in technology. So the thing about it is oftentimes if we want to really validate if a product is going to make money or if we should build a product, we don't just talk about it and debate it endlessly in our meetings. But what we end up doing is oftentimes we'll do designs for it, we'll do mock-ups and prototypes where we're trying to actually put it in front of customers to see how they react to it, or we're trying to sell it before we even build it to really validate, is this a product that we should build? When it comes to your career, you are the product. and how do you develop yourself as a product and actually understand what direction to take the product, which is you. So this is why the software development as well as the product development lifecycle actually has a lot of parallels to how you can design and make a career change. All right, if you like this video, please like it, share it if possible, and subscribe to this channel. I appreciate you all. If you have any other video ideas or topics that you want me to cover, please drop it down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.